morning. What an amazing thing. Can we get... And once more for the sponsors and Jamie. All right. Going through, because we have like 10 minutes for all of this, I wanted to explain to people, because this actually comes up a lot. It's like, why do we need Magento Association? What do you guys actually do? So I think we should think about Magento and what we actually have with it, right? It's open source. It's extremely powerful. We know that, the merchants know that, and it's ours to use. So I think we should still appreciate that Magento is one of the most flexible e-commerce solutions out there. It's commodity. It's no longer the new hot kid on the block, but just everybody uses it, right? And it's also often forgotten about how many businesses this actually powers, how many lives this influences in one way or another. It's either developers in Europe, in the US, in emerging countries. It's businesses that work. There's a lot of success stories that we have here. And Magento Association is not here to basically just preserve and maintain what we have, but we want to shape the future moving forwards with Magento. So what's interesting, when I jumped into the Magento ecosystem, everyone was like, this is an open source project, and I was like, nah, not just quite. But let's dissect this for a little bit, right? So these are basically the pieces that make an open source project, all the things that need to be done, right? And one could say, like, well, Adobe takes care of all those things, right? Well, Adobe takes care of a lot of things, and personally, I think it's underappreciated how much they do, actually. So they care about the click thing. They care about all security-related stuff. If you've ever run an open source project yourself, that's huge, right? They care about PHP compatibility, which is, from practical experience, one of the most boring things you can do in code. Because you spend a tremendous amount of time in it, and nobody sees it because stuff just works. And of course, they take care of all the bug fixes, all the organization that's behind it, the planning, triage of tickets, pull requests. That's a lot of things, and I think Adobe deserves a lot of credit for actually doing this. However, that's only that right half of the work that's actually going on in the open source branch of things. So that's where Magento Association kicks in. So we take care of the admin work for the open source project part, right? So we provide governance, we provide structure, also guidance for people that need to understand, like, how do I do things? What am I allowed to do? What am I not allowed to do? It's a lot of things where we just provide those administrative stuff. Then events, because some people might not know, but without Magento Association, this whole thing wouldn't be here. Also, without JH, this whole thing wouldn't be here, right? So it's like two entities working together. The idea on events is to bring up discussion, to share knowledge, but also boring stuff like legal things, right? Because Meet Magento is a registered trademark. Somebody has to license this, so the event is all in the green. That's what we do. Then, of course, marketing, right? We need to make sure that Magento open source remains the visibility, gains the visibility, especially with the market becoming more like, is it competitive? I would say hostile, but you get the point, right? So we need to take care of the messaging around it. We need to make sure that we gain the merchant's trust. And ultimately, there's some code part to it, and that means new pieces of functionality that go into the open source version of Magento. That's what Magento Association fosters, guides, etc. And of course, we're still allowed to fix bugs, because I think I would argue this is like 95% of the reasons why people actually get into open source in the first place. You use the software, something doesn't work, you fix it, you give it back. Because you could figure, like, I'm not the only person who actually ran into these issues. So Magento Association is the backbone behind all this open source work, right? So we're not a gatekeeper, but we provide a framework and direction how to make open source thrive in the future. We bring, like I said, alignment, structure, and sort of a strategy, where to go with the product, how to negotiate, say, conflict of interest between the commercial ideas that Adobe has, which are completely viable. It's a good reason to make business. And we need to figure out that we just don't create all those things for free, for example, or that we don't like start breaking each other's stuff. And then what we also do is we are like the central point that brings together the people who want to collaborate, but also amplify voices from the community that can be agencies, merchants, developers, system integrators, hosting companies. So we make sure that your demands are met to the best of our abilities, pretty much politics. And all these things, so governance, events, recognition, outreach, all these things just don't magically happen. They used to magically happen in the past, because Magento Inc. took care of all those things, but now this is on us. So to give you a small idea of what we are building for the community, other than the stuff, this is like tactile stuff. So we are building an expert listing right now with the help of basically Jakub from Koliber, so that which is big one. The amount of hours this guy pumped into voluntary work is insane, right? But the idea is that we can get a Magento partner listing, that we have an official source that you can point merchants to, or merchants can look at, like, hey, who's actually proficient in Magento, because otherwise it's just some person's opinion on the interwebs, right? Then showcases, this is a big one. This is something you can actually do today. So you can log into your Magento account on hub.magentoassociation.org and put up your showcases. And we have another team in the Philippines currently working on the whole display part of those things, so that you're all able to show what you've built for merchants. Merchants, I really encourage you, show off what you're doing with Magento. And also, there's no like size restriction to this, right? If you have a small store, that doesn't make it less relevant. And it could even be worse, if you just put in your biggest merchant stores that you built, it will alienate the small merchants. So put everything in there, there's a place for everyone. Then we're working on a contribution points program so that we have the ability to show how much you contribute to the project as a whole. That's why I'm also extremely grateful to have like Francis over here who kickstarted the whole thing, so thanks for that. Then, of course, Meet Magento events, we covered that. We're bringing back a certification program for Magento, so you will have your Adobe Commerce certifications as well as Magento certifications, again, for agencies to gain trust, developers. It's good on your resume, to be fair. So, and of course, we have Magento marketing, where we as the community market the product out there to get all the trust and feedback from the merchants. All right. Now this is the interesting part, which is basically why we need you. Where's the clicky thing? There we go. If people don't know, the Magento Association is a non-profit, right? And we're fueled pretty much by volunteers and funding. So we need your help in that. So if you believe that Magento open source actually deserves some visibility in the world, that merchants, agencies, hosting companies, solution providers deserve a voice, or if you and the agency or team want to be part of the next chapter, then become a member. Like, this is where we really need you, because it's a very small operation with very high expectations, and we wanna make sure that all your expectations are met, but it's a lot of work to do, and either help by working or helped by funding. That's really important. So for those who want to take the picture, I did this because somebody told me QR codes are cool. So I have 13 seconds left, so let's talk. I'll be upstairs in the sponsoring area. I'm hard to miss. Ask questions, let's get in touch, and I wish you all a great rest of the day. Amazing event, so thank you.